Yeah, my name is Albert Oshana, and I'm originally from Iraq, from Baghdad.
And where do you live now?
I live in Fairfield, in Prairie Wood, as part of Fairfield.
When did you migrate to Australia? How old were you at the time?
When I left Iraq, I was 16. Had to go to Lebanon to complete the visa paperwork. As part of the family, the whole family moved. And I was 17 when I entered Australia.
And what year was that?
That was 1974.
And could you tell us a little bit about the reasons for leaving your home? What was the situation like in your home country?
Well, being young, I was part of the family, so my father decided, due to the political unrest in Iraq, that after the coup d'etat by the Ba'ath regime, they were more authoritarian, and at the same time, because of the changes in industrial law, he couldn't work due to his age, so he had no option but to leave. He couldn't even work for private companies, so they wouldn't allow him, and they wouldn't pay him pension either. So he decided that it was time that we left.
And you said your family left with you. Could you tell us which family members migrated with you?
Yeah, it was my father. Well, my father had to stay 2 weeks and leave after us because there was a restriction on his leaving. But on the 17th of August, 1973, we boarded a bus to Syria, to Lebanon via Syria. It was my mother and myself, my older brother, and 3 sisters. And we had one sister left in Iraq. She was married. She was left there, and prior to us coming to Australia, I had my eldest brother coming to Australia in 1970.
And do you remember how you prepared for the trip? How you prepared for leaving?
Well, my parents did organize everything. We had to sell everything we had. It wasn't much. And then I think we were given a lift to the bus depot. Yeah, and from there on, we just arrived in Damascus, had to take a taxi to take us to Beirut in Lebanon. And we stayed 7 months there. By the time my father caught up with us, and we had to go through the visa paperwork again, even though we had one that expired in Iraq.
Do you remember why your family chose Australia?
Yeah, I had an aunt that came to Australia in 1966. And my father decided that he was going to send my eldest brother to Australia to stay with them. So he came in 1966. He was only 16 when he left. And my father had an idea that he didn't want us to serve in the army. So he got us before we were at the conscription age.
Could you've already told us a little bit, do you remember actually traveling to Australia and the moment you arrived? How did that feel?
Yes, it was exciting. It was actually my brother's birthday on the plane. And I remember the waitresses brought a cake for him. When we arrived, my brother and my auntie and her family were waiting at the airport. Everything was different from the environment, the trees. It was raining that day, which it doesn't rain as much in Iraq. And everything smelled different. even the people, the perfumes and so on.
And where did you arrive in Australia?
In Sydney Airport. Yeah.
And did you move straight to this area?
Yeah, we stayed a few days at my auntie's. So we had to sleep on the floor, some of us, and until one of our relatives looked for a house, and we rented a house in Yenora and moved. Within 10 days we were there, and all of us except for my mom and my youngest sister, we found work and we started working.
Thank you very much. I think it's now time to talk about the objects that are standing next to you. Could you tell us what they are? Maybe start with the big.
Yeah, this is a simavar. Simavar is the pronunciation in Turkish. It's samovar in Russian. And this was brought from Iran. My brother-in-law brought it. It was a gift from my father's uncle, who lived in Iran, which my father's originally from Iran. So he sent it as a gift to my father. And that was something that we had to bring. We couldn't leave behind as a family.
Is it still being used?
Not now, but when we first arrived in Australia, every time we went to a picnic, we used to use it. It works on charcoal, so you put some charcoal from the top, drop it in here in the middle, and if you open this, you pour the water in here, and the heat of the charcoal of the fire will heat the water. So it's basically as an urn. And what happens then, you put this one on and you put the teapot at the top. So the teapot keeps warm and the water is always boiling. So it's ready to continue. And my father used to be very tea drinker. So, yeah.
Does it remind you of home?
Absolutely, yes. Every time I look at it, yeah.
You also have a small album there. Could
Yeah,
you tell us about that?
This album, I was in the church group, so I had a lot of friends, and what I did is it was something that was common at that time. Friends would do that and keep memories for each other. So I bought this one, and I got some of my friends to write something to remind me of them, and some of them I had their photos, and one of them is some of the photos have fallen, but one of them is this one, and I've been told that he died during the Iraq-Iran war.
What was his name?
Benjamin. Yep. So this is always I have kept. One other thing that because I was involved in the language of my language, being a minority group in Iraq, not being Muslim or Arab, I was passionate about my language, and this was a magazine, the first issue of a magazine that came out. I had to travel downtown to find it, and I purchased it at the time, even though I wasn't working. I didn't have money, but I had to get money from my parents to buy it, and it's been a treasure that I've kept until now. It's called the Educated Assyrian. Yeah.
Do you still look through it every now and then?
Every now and then I do, yes.
How does it make you feel?
I just go back in time.